All right, let's talk about KPIs, key performance indicators. You've heard of them, your company probably uses them, but let's be honest, are they actually helping? Today, we're going to break down how to design KPIs that really, truly work, drawing on some great insights from Roberto Corral. So let me just ask you this right up front. Think about your company's KPIs. Are they a real tool you use to get better, or are they just a number that gets copied and pasted into a report every month? The answer to that question is a pretty big deal. And to really understand the stakes here, I want to tell you a story. It's a bit of a cautionary tale, and it's about a company called Perez Car Rental. They learned this lesson the hard way. Okay, so here's how it went down. Year one, things are not looking good for Perez. They're losing customers, complaints are through the roof. So management steps in. They do all the right things, right? They retrain staff, they get better IT tools, they clean up their procedures, and hey, by year two, it seems to be working. Customer complaints drop, the team is feeling good, they feel like they've turned a corner. And then, year three, the business shuts down. So what on earth happened? Here's what went wrong. They were making decisions based on feelings. They felt like things were better because complaints went down, but they had no real data. They couldn't measure if they were improving enough or improving the right things to actually save the business. They were completely flying blind. And this whole story just perfectly hammers home that classic quote from the physicist Lord Kelvin: if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. It's that simple. Without real measurement, any improvement is just a guess. Okay, so you might be thinking, got it, just measure stuff, problem solved. Well, not so fast. Because even when companies do measure things, they often fall into these really common traps that make their KPIs totally useless. Let's look at the big three. First up is what I call the no action trap. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Measuring becomes the whole point. You've got people spending hours collecting data, building beautiful dashboards, generating reports, but nothing ever happens because of it. No one ever takes action. The data just becomes expensive wallpaper. Next, you've got the vanity trap. Oh, this one is sneaky. A vanity metric is something that looks great on a chart but tells you nothing about the health of your business. Think total registered users. It always goes up and to the right? It makes you feel good. But an actionable metric like monthly active users tells you if people are actually using your product. That's the one that helps you make real decisions. And finally, the silo trap. This is when every department is crushing its own goals, but the customer is miserable. The sales team hits their numbers, the operations team hits theirs, but because their goals aren't connected, the overall customer journey is a mess. Everyone is winning their own little battle, but the company is losing the war. Okay, so we've seen the traps. It sounds a little bleak, I know, but there is a solution. It's not about a new piece of software or a complicated formula. It's about shifting your entire mindset. And it's built on three foundational principles. And that's the good news. You don't need a huge list of rules. Everything you need to build useful KPIs comes down to these three core ideas. The first one is a game changer. You have to stop thinking in terms of departments and start thinking in terms of processes. Look, your company's org chart is vertical, right? You've got sales, marketing, operations, all in their own silos. But your customer doesn't see that. They experience your company horizontally as one continuous journey, and that's what you have to measure. The end-to-end process that delivers value to them. Second, you need to find balance. A great process isn't just about one thing. It's like a three-legged stool. You need to measure its efficacy. Are we delivering the right thing, the thing that customer actually wants? Its efficiency. Are we doing it without wasting a bunch of time and money? And its rapidity. Are we doing it fast enough? A really solid KPI system keeps an eye on all three of these. And the third principle, which is just so critical, is you have to close the loop. It's not enough to just measure something once. It's a continuous cycle. You measure the process, you evaluate what the data is telling you, and then you have to act on it. You make a change, and then the loop starts all over again. So, once you have this mindset, you need a practical tool to put it into action. And this is all about understanding the crucial difference between cause indicators and effect indicators. Effect indicators are what we normally think of as KPIs. They're your final score. They're things like a customer satisfaction score or total quarterly sales. They're super important, but they are lagging indicators. They tell you what happened after the game is already over. But here's the secret sauce. Measuring the effect is too late to change it. You have to focus on the cause indicators. These are the levers you can actually pull. They are the leading indicators, the process metrics like average delivery time or number of errors per order that actually drive that final customer satisfaction score. Let's look at how this connects in a real process, like order management. You can't just directly control the effect, that customer satisfaction score, but you absolutely can control the causes. You can work to lower your percentage of stockouts. You can fix the process to reduce errors per order. You can improve your average delivery time. If you want to change the result, you have to fix the drivers. So let's pull all of this together. We've talked about the traps, the principles, the tools. It all comes down to making that fundamental shift from just measuring things to actually acting on them. And this is why we come back to this loop one last time. This is the entire point. Measure, evaluate. But without that third step, act, the first two are a totally meaningless and very expensive hobby.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important sentence in this entire explainer. The purpose of a KPI is not to generate a report. It's to trigger an action.
So I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your own team. Look at your own KPIs, your own dashboards, and be really honest. Do your numbers inspire people to write another report, or do they inspire them to take action? The answer to that question makes all the difference in the world. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.